Hey, what's up, guys? Just about ready. Just one more minute. All right, let's do this. Sorry, I'm a little late, later than I intended, but it's just how it be. Let's fucking go. But the thing is, I haven't even touched my Switch since last stream, so I'm actually in the exact same spot. I think I did do dinner. Well, if it ain't Milda, what are you doing here? Every time I see that, I think of the Californians from SNL. When you could be at home snuggling with Darlin. Is his name actually Darlin? Actually, I'm first. Actually, what up, you boy? Technically, I think I saw Dry in chat. I think you know. He didn't claim first, but I did see his name pop up first. I will say that. No, I come first. What up, Cyber? God damn it, you boy! Did you like the movie or not? Fucking troll. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh man, that's some high quality H2O. Hi, y'all. Oh, I'm good. Baby Market. Oh, you're playing that right now? Nice. I'm back. Actually, I was on my way home. I'll tell you if you like the movie if you watch the movie first. Fucking why? I have no interest. I'm just trying to make conversation with you and see if you like it or not. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying I saw the trailer. I wasn't interested, but I'm curious if you liked it. Oh, I kind of want to alter, actually. Let me get it. Right on, brother. I was on my way home. Hey, Justin boy, is there anything to do before I see Darwin? Save the game. Okay. When I was talking about, I literally said I watched a bad movie today. Now, I'm going to go back to the VOD. I do not remember you saying that. You worded it weird. It was like, the movie I saw today, it was Mercy. There was something like that. I don't remember you saying it was bad. Also, you could like a bad movie. I like a lot of bad movies. But I'm gonna take that as you didn't like it. Jay, are you here? Do you remember what he said? I don't remember him saying it was bad. Wait, where the fuck do I go? Where is Darlin? Oh wait, I need to find Milda's house. I'm pretty sure that's the case. But either way, what's everybody up to? Are you guys working? Are you working, you boy? Go ahead and watch the VOD. You'll see I said those words I claim. Yo mama is what they said first. Dang, so many people are first. What up, Ken? What up, Paul? I don't remember what he said. Just watch it first and he'll tell you. Nah, it's okay. I'll never know. And I don't care anymore. Very nice. No, I didn't enjoy it. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know! I should make variations of this with different people. Just watch it. No! I wanna! For walks. I have no idea what that means. But I should probably drop some shit off. I'm gonna get rid of the fire sword. But yes, I'm working. I got an hour and 15 minutes left. Well, I hope that hour and 15 minutes goes smoothly, my boy. I want more experience charms. Oh, it's explosion charm. God fucking damn it. Look at that. It says EXP charm. I thought that was experience charm. I was stoked. I was like, oh, cool. One of my characters can, like, you know, get a level boost or something. Okay, I told you my opinion on it. Now go watch it. My version of I showed you my dick. Respond to me. What? Gotta pee? Alright, have fun. Don't fall in. My version of I showed you my dick. Respond to me. Is this like I showed you my dick, show me yours? Now, I didn't agree to that. But if it's ever on, I'll probably check it out. I don't want to pay for it or download it. So when it's streaming in a month on Prime or something, I'll probably watch it. Alright, let me put this in my stash. Honestly, I feel like I'm in the minority, but I actually don't like the rate or the speed at which that we just throw things in streaming services now, you know what I mean? Like, remember when it was like, the movie could have like a month or two run, and then like 6 to like 8 months later, then it shows up on video. Now it's like, all right, next month, you can watch it on Netflix. You are indeed a minority. Where'd that come from? Oh, I'm in the minority. Yeah. Sorry. You don't remember the meme on Snapshot where it's a guy telling a woman that? I don't remember that meme. I've never seen that meme. Sorry. Your meme game's strong, my boy. I wish I was in the minority. I think you're in the minority with your views towards old games. What am I getting rid of? Let's get rid of a miracle, and then that's probably good. See, my thing is with all these healing items, it's like I'm gonna get rid of crampons. I don't even know what that is. It's like I'm encouraged to use my magic so I can level it up, you know? So like I'll just use healing items if I run out of space. Bet.
Shut up, bitch!
No, you bitch! Alright, where the fuck is this bitch's house? Hey there, little girl. Hey, bitch! Spring is just about over and summer's short. We need to harvest all we can. I get all my minority views from Jay Conquers. I bet he hates it. You're the strongest woman in the whole village. Batch, if you leave, who's gonna get the work done? I know, don't worry. I'm a little busy right now, but I'll clean up and start working. Alright, where the fuck is your house? Milda's house. Wait, shot by the water. You selling stuff here too? Oh, I kinda wanna go back to the other town, because they had like cooler fucking weapons and shit. Oh my god, I'm too... Oh no, I sold everything. So actually, I think I'm good. I'm in the minority of a lot of things. I mean, we all have our takes, you know? Causes sudden death. Now, is that sudden death for me or for the enemies? That's very important. No. Plus 40 attack. God damn! Black magic effect. I think that's what I have right now. 3 attack, minus 10 move. Honestly, I'm afraid to get any fucking elemental weapons, just because if it's even remotely resistant to it, I just doesn't do no damage. Dang, the world is my oyster right now, dude. I don't even know what the fuck to do. Let me look up cause of sudden death for Grandia. I don't know if I'm gonna randomly die while attacking or if it could kill other enemies. Grandia causes sudden death effect. Alright. Then it refers to an offensive move that immediately kills his target regardless of the amount of HP they have remaining. I might roll with that, actually. Oh god. I shaved my coochie. I don't think I should anymore, honestly, because I ain't having sex, LMAO. It definitely means on enemies. No, I know, but like, have you ever had like a cursed item in RPG? You know, it's not well, I guess it is uncommon, but it's not unheard of for that to be an actual status effect. You know what I mean? So I just had to be sure. Also, Ken, I don't know, you do you. But yeah, it's for the enemy. I just wanted to be double sure because I kind of want that now. I also share my coochie, probably get laid tonight. Well, when you get laid tonight, think of me. Oh, what does the silver sword do again? Block magic? Okay. I'm gonna keep it. So I'm actually gonna buy instead of, yeah, here we go. Wait, what? Oh, alright. Oh, his inventory is full. God damn it! Banaka. It does what type of magic? So the one that I have equipped right now has a block magic effect, meaning enemies can't use magic if I hit them with it. If that effect takes a effect. I worded that weird, but you know. And then the one I'm gonna get, it causes sudden death, so it has a chance to just kill an enemy outright. I kind of want that for both these motherfuckers. I mean, for sure, you get it. You get it. And then... Alright, hold on. Why is this game being so weird? Can I not equip it? Even though I can see it affects my stats? Okay, that was weird. And then I'm gonna stash the fire sword. Alright, and then there's other weapons I want. Now how much is this gonna affect her move? A lot! Holy shit! No. But she's like my mage anyway. My Rab doesn't get shit except... Oh, he can get a silver sword. Oh, actually, yeah. Let me give it to... No, because Rab does range. Never mind. And then I do have a magic egg now. Who's got what? She can't do any magic. And then Brat needs... give him water. Everybody should be able to heal. And then any defensive shit. Where's the other girl? Which one, Sue? Sue's back in her hometown. Harm, I think. Who's gonna cheer for you? No, she leaves the party. Spoilers, like, I don't know, like a third into the game. And it depressed me. Because she's the only character, like, I mean, I like them all at the end of the day, but Sue's my favorite one. Because she's just adorable. And the reason she leaves, I was like, aw. But that was a sad aw, not a sweet aw. Let's trade. Damn it, I just spent all my money on getting this shit. Now it's... whatever. Whatever, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm min-maxing. Alright, I think I'm probably good for now. Oh yeah, sorry. I think from now on, whenever I say I've watched a movie, I'm going to avoid answering if I liked it or not, and just continue talking about it for fun. Alright, I mean, if you want. May I ask why? Oh, I have a life seed also, and a fire sword. Let me ditch that. And then because I'm a baka, let me save now. All right, now where does this bitch live? Damn it! I just left the town. All right. That's funny. Oh, that's right. I just got to the end. I was thinking about the other town. That was where I was lost. But then I just had to pass through it to get here. I remember now. What's wrong, Milda? Something happened? Darling! What the fuck? Darling, darling, darling. Because it'll be fun watching people say, did you like the movie or not, and get angry about it. I wouldn't say I was angry about it. I was more confused why I just wouldn't fucking answer the question. But yeah, I mean, if you want. I missed you so much, Honey Bunch. Dang, does this count as bestiality? Or like a furry? I can't say I remember this part. It's the movie with the chair. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of. I know what was happening because I think there's a delay and I think you're using speech to text, but it was just funny how that conversation flowed. I was like, "Hey, did you like it? Oh, it's got Chris Pratt in it. Yeah, but what was your opinion on it? It's the one with the chair and the AI." And I was like, "We know." I hope I didn't come across as angry in my chat. But I felt like a detective. I'm just trying to lighten your face. I actually have a lamp I was gonna bring, but it's like wired in. It's the BB detector thing from Death Stranding. Fucking Bloody Kotex. He gave it to me for my birthday. Little sweetheart. I feel like Chris Pratt sitting in a chair. That is the movie for you. Is he in the chair like 90% of the movie? That's kind of what I imagine. Because it looks like, have you guys ever played Remember Me? It's like this, like, I think it's like a French sci-fi action game. And you do this thing where it's like you reconstruct memories, kind of like in a timeline, kind of like when you recreate crime scenes in the Batman Arkham games, kind of like that. Just linear cutscene stuff, you know? But anyway, I imagine he's just doing that in the chair. That's the vibe I got from the trailer. And I was like, it looks like it might be a good short film, but like feature length. So this is, darling, I miss those bulging muscles of yours. So when I was away, I couldn't hardly sleep. None. How do you feel about Kung Fu Hustle? I fucking love that movie. I fucking love Kung Fu Hustle. The Axe Gang and that dance he does.
Yes, queen.
Exactly.
Yes, queen. Yes, queen.
Cyber gets it. I missed you too, Milda. Without you napping next to me, I couldn't hardly read a line. That's a weird way to word that. It's the movie with the hatchets. 95% of the movie is Chris Pratt sitting at a chair screaming. Dang. Maybe I will watch it for the lulz. Kung Fu Hustle is the fucking shit. Yeah, it is, Ken. A masterpiece. But tonight we'll finally be able to have a nice dinner together. Together. Aw. Together? Wait, you don't mean... You are... Where are my manners? Y'all forgive me now. It's just been so long. Allow me to introduce you. This is one of the three wise men. My honey bunch sweetheart, Darlin. Darlin, these are my new friends. Justin, Fina, and... Blah, blah. Rowdy, y'all. Oh, it's just howdy. Stupid. Thank you for taking care of my Milda. Welcome to Lane and our home. Talking bull? Yeah, that's weird, man. I just hurt my teeth with milk. Don't ask how I did that, because even I don't fucking know. I chipped a tooth drinking milk. sorta. This was like in high school. There's like a little canine right here. It has like a little nick in it. Or actually, someone next to it. Yeah. Incisor. I forget what they're called. Whatever. I was eating Oreos and milk, and then I dropped the Oreo in the milk by accident, right? So it was like stuck there, so I had to drink it, and then like the fucking cookie was still stuck in there. So I was like patting on it, and I hit my tooth, and I was like, yeah, that happened. Well then, I reckon you're the ones who stopped the Tower of Doom. I speak for all the folks in saying we're in your debt. Justin, Fina, and Rap of Kafu. Don't mention it. We handle characters like that. We handle characters like that all the time. No problem. Shieldin. We've been trying to fight out what was petrifying things. We didn't know the tower had a terrifying monster. Gaia. What is that thing? You and that Guido feller Said y'all seen people and forests turn to stone. Ain't that right? Oh my god. Then that might just have something to do with why the ancient Angela disappeared from the land. Why do you zoom in like that? You just fucking went full... Why, darling, these youngins are on a journey to search for the ancient civilization of the Angelo. Before we talk about the Angelo, something I've been meaning to ask. What's that stone you have there? This? It's called the Spirit Stone. It's a keepsake from my father. My papa. My papa's name. I knew it! The mystical Spirit Stone, it really does exist. I owe everything to it. I'm meeting with Liete, the quest for Illant. Is that a cow? Is that chick fucking a cow? Yeah. It's like a fat bull man. I mean, she's kind of like a beastie herself, you know? She got like fur and like long ears. Candace jealous. And look, I have the key too. What? That medal, oh fuck. Belonged to the legendary shrine of Angelo, the medal of wisdom, but it was never found. How can it be? It was Liete who told me to take this and come to Illant. I never would have thought it. The Spirit Stone, Liete, the medal of wisdom. The way I described Mercy is like the movie War of the Worlds with Ice Cube. Oh, where it all takes place in front of a fucking computer? Don't be airing out my thoughts, Jay, you fucking bitch. Yeah, Jay. Jesus. Oh, I recently watched that movie Anaconda with Jack Black and Paula Rudd. I kind of have a soft spot for that first Anaconda movie. So the premise of this one is weird. And I don't like that they made it a comedy, but it is at least fun. I'm a cow. Hey, what up, Cash Cow? How you doing, sir? Me Armano. I never would have thought it. The Spirit Stone, Liete, the Medal of Wisdom. Well, it's plain to see that y'all are the chosen one to go to Angelo. My Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns. Bars, dude. Bars. The chosen one to the Angelo? Me? I'm looking for Romano. I found Romano. He's right there. Now I'm afraid to ask you, boy, but did you like it? Anyway, it seems it's our duty as the three wise men of Lane to teach you all we know about Angelo. It's the least we can do besides thanking y'all for saving the Kafu forest. Now, I already suck at reading. Reading a country accent is worse. Are you saying you down, cow? Oh, shit. I can see how your horny ass would interpret that. This guy. What up, B90? It was the one where they were remaking... Damn it, dude. I know. Today, Junior, for real, dude. It was the one where they were remaking the movie Anaconda in the movie, and it was like the Tropic Thunder with making a movie, the movie concept. Where are the Karians? We saw the Karian and Kafu, a girl named Lean. How's your night going, Cash Cow? What are you up to? You watching anything? I actually got kind of stoked when you mentioned Stargate Nights. We should bring that back. Have a couple beers. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. It's like a perfect movie. We saw Karian and Kafu, a girl named Lean. Now, just a minute, Justin boy. What did you just say? Did you say Ikarian? I was just watching Stargate! That's how I read that. Nice. What season are you on? Are you starting fresh? So it's true. When the power of the Spirit Stone gathers in one, there shall an Ikarian be born. And I've seen another one, Liete. Two Ikarians, Lean and Liete. But what just is an Ikarian? It's the one with the Stargate. For real, dude. Fresh.
Shut up, bitch!
Nice. No, I gotta read. That's funny, Jay. Hold on now, Justin boy.
Little baby. I'm a little baby.
Reading is for nerds.
I'm a baby. I have no money. I can pay you in blocks. No.
RDJ is a certified black man. He gets a pass. He's invited to the cookout for sure. No Stargate, but there was cameos. Oh, nice. Liete ain't no Ikarian. Why, she's the priestess of the Shrine of Illant. Holy shit. I had no idea. Justin Boy. Why is he zooming in like that? How can we help the petrified people? Nice. You know, I'm always in the mood to watch that fucking movie. It's like that, Starship Troopers. I don't think I'll ever say no. I would always be down. We thought we would find the answer once we go to Alent, but we could not get the key to open the door. The only one worthy of receiving the key from Leate is able to enter. Where the fuck is my emote, Joseph?
Came here to drink milk and kick ass.
I mean, I can't make a whole ass emote in a day. More like star shit poopers. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The one who was worthy. That's you, Justin Boy. I don't know why I'm reading him as, oh, what's his face? Is it Kaiba? Is that his name? Yugi Boy? That guy? You mean I'm the only one who can save those who were petrified? Justin Boy. What's Gaia have to do with the Angelo? The ancient Angelo prospered thanks to the great power, but they were destroyed by that same power. I believe that... Dude, it's hard to fucking read when I'm just thinking about these redeems. Super Trooper. I've only seen that movie like 2 or 3 times. I need to rewatch it. I believe that it was a power that weren't meant for no human beings. The great power? Is it the Gaia? I believe this is a matter best answered by Old Master Durlin. He's the expert on Angelo history. I see. Then let's go and talk to this Durlin guy. Hope all this has been some help to you. Darlin, you said I'm the only one who could enter Alent? But how can that be? How do I get there? Tell me! Tell me! You mean Pegasus, not Kaiba. Is it Pegasus? Yeah. That's the guy with the pyramid one, right? Nerd! Okay, end the stream and put Starship Troopers on instead of playing this. Well, I mean, as the opportunity presents itself, you know, I'm not going to end stream, especially since it's going to take me a year to finish this one. Yes, the Millennium Eye. There you go. I remember watching that in like middle school. No balls. Fuck you guys. I just end stream right now. Or I stream Starship Troopers and get banned. Haste makes waste, Justin Boy. Time will tell. Sorry. The time will come. You will be able to go to Alent. Because you're the chosen one. Chosen one! Ain't you a bear with Astley's foot? What the fuck does that mean? Calm down, boy. Darlin knows what he's talking about. Joey, you're the best duelist who doesn't have magic or money. Yeah, that's true. What's the line where, You're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate deck? Is that the line? And I just know in the context of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's like, oh! You know? It's a fucking fighting words right there. I'd rather watch Spaceballs. If you hard, you hard.
If you hard, you hard.
Nice, nice. Spaceballs is pretty good. I suppose you're right. Sorry, darling. Milda, thanks. There's plenty to learn before you find the way to Alent. Got yourself here a spell, boy. Don't call me boy. Talk to the other 2 wise men. You can have the house near the gate. Suppose y'all ought to see Durlin first. He's the wise man that knows about the wisdom of Angelo. All right, let's go, boy. You're gonna see a lot of each other, like it or not. All right, good enough. You hard, you hard. All right, where's Durlin? Nola's bedroom. Ooh. By Snoo Snoo. Oh, these fuckers are freaks, I can tell. They probably wear those fucking bear costumes. Psychopaths. Right there's old Durlin's place, 2 doors to the west. Y'all see an axe standing there? There's Youngin's plane in front, can't miss it. Okay. 2 doors to the west. As I go east. Oh, wait, this is north. I keep thinking that little compass head, I think that's the north, but it's actually the red. Okay, so this is west. And it's right here, this kid's playing in front of it. Durlin's house. I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes. Yeah. They've gone plaid. Or when William hurt, he's like, not again, after he chest burst at the end. Mix in a little extract of sulfa, root of mogi, leaf of lulu, and top it off. Oh, hello there. Aha. Your hummin's a darn sight. I say darn. Or damn sight better than your research, Darlin. What's that? Botanicals? Ah, these are medical herbs. I just can't get enough of this research on Angelo. Who are the youngins, Milda? You get the bleeps, the creeps, and the sweeps. Now, where are my manners? Let me introduce my friends Justin, Fina, and Rap from the Tower of Doom incident. Nice to meet you. Say, we've heard that you're an expert in Angelonian history. And what we'd like to say no more, fam. How do you know my? Oh, I just used myself. Everybody just calls me Justin Boy. That's like not a character exclusive thing. I've heard all about y'all from that Moge merchant feller. Why the fuck are the cutscenes so long in this? It's like Metal Gear Solid 4. So we're like famous. Wait, a Moge? Guido, perchance. It's true that the situation in Kafu is very similar to the ending of the Angelonian civilization. So then it was the Gaia's power that destroyed Angelo as well. I think you hit the nail on the head. But even if it was Gaia, what's with all this people petrification anyway? We know that just before Angelo disappeared, an abnormal drop in the number of spirits was seen. In other words, we think that this drop was the number of spirits was the cause of the petrification. I'm waiting for men's hockey to hurry up and get to the finals. Gotta see Canada versus US, and when US wins, we gotta talk shit to my friend who's a Canadian. Honestly, the only person I know who is excited is Cash Cow if he's still here. He's not. I don't know. I don't really watch hockey, but I'm glad you're excited. It's just medical herbs. They got uppers, downers, and all-arounders. Where's that from? Is that a quote? Wait, could it be then that Gaia grows by absorbing the spirits? That's a clever observation. If you look at it that way, things start to make sense. Then is there a way to return petrified people to normal? Well, if petrification is caused by loss of spirits, then restoring the spirit should return them to normal. The words of yours say how to return the spirit. You mean it's all written somewhere? But the page is torn. I can't read it. What? Hey, if you're pulling a fast one, we're eating roast beef tonight. Oh, he's gonna kill him and eat him. US women's won gold, I believe. They beat Canada today. Sick. Simmer down there, boy. No one's... I was gonna make a joke. Anyway, no one's saying there ain't a way. Maybe if you went to Alent, or... So we do need to go to Alent, but the problem is we don't know how to get there. The old Doran's the only one who knows about how to get to Alent. Problem is, well, it can't hurt you to just go and see him anyway. You might get something out of him. Moo. Hey, what up, Penguin? How's your night going? Oh, where's Derlin? I thought you were Derlin. The only way to Alent is known only to certain people right now. Old Dorlin's the only one. Oh, Derlin, Dorlin, and Darlin. Oh, okay. It's alright. Yeah, it's kind of how I'm feeling. Old Dorlin's got it real bad for that Liete gal. Y'all talk sense. Y'all think he'd have more sense. Wait, well, I can't fucking read. Problem is, ain't sure if he can tell you much just now. But you never can tell. Darwin's Tower is southeast on the banks of the lake. Okay, I couldn't know. Any server dungeons yet? No. To be honest, I'm just kind of beelining it to the end. I just want to play Grandia too. I am enjoying this though. The All-Arounders, it's from a drug dealer on a TV show I was watching today. That's a reality show about this guy that was selling drugs. Nice. Is your name Jared, and are you 19? You should do Castle of Dreams at least. It's fun. Where's that at? Are you talking to me? About the Jared? I don't get this. The other dungeons are a bit grindy. I'll keep an eye out for it. Southeast, okay. Berlin, Dorlin, and Darlin. Oh, that's the barn. No, that's the vacant house that the Sega stay at. That's the exit. Wait, that's north and this is southeast. What is this? Oh, old Dorlin lies. Try doubling 19 for Joey's age. Not yet. But soon. Isn't that your age? Aren't you like... You like 37? No? I forget. Hi, Dorlin. Master Dolan, my friend here wants to you to tell him how to get to a lint. Yeah, it was an old Vine video. This guy goes, I'm Jared, I'm 19, I never learned how to read. Oh, nice. I'm not 2 times 19 yet. You're not this many yet? Paul and Dry are old pieces of shit, though. We're catching up. We're catching up. Ooh, a lint. Masters of Wisdom of Angelo. Why is he drilling? Place of the Shrine of the Icarians. That's it. You know the way. It might help the youngins find a cure for them old petrified folk. I was told to come to a lint, you see, by Liette. What? By Liette? You're certain it was Liette? You must tell me about her. What was she wearing? What she smell like? At least we aren't you, so that's a plus. Oh, beautiful Liette. Wait, Liette? What? I read that like, who does the what? Isn't that Lois? So you are Mistress Liette? You look exactly as I pictured you. Exactly. No, wait, I'm Justin. This is Fina and Rap. Anyway, we want to go to a lint. Yes. Go, young ones. From the Rainbow Spring to a lint. Go. Meet with the Buteus Liette. Hey, yo, Mr. White! Nice. Now I remember about Liette. What? Do you know something? I remember who am I? Where am I anyway? Oh my god, he's gone. He's got like dementia or something. What's he talking about? This geezer's had it. Hilda, are you sure this guy's alright? Well, something is wrong. He's been like this ever since he left his horn in the lower village. His horn? You're right, no horn. So no horn, no information? That's about the size of it. A wise man's horns holds his knowledge, right, Master Dolan? What the fuck? Bro, this cutscene has been going on for like half an hour. Yeah, and also I'm reading. And I'm reading chat and stuff. Diddly dee, diddly doo, Mr. Liette. Wake up, Master Dolan. Don't fall asleep with your eyes open. Look, we're not getting anywhere. Lower village or not. We have to go get this geezer's horn, alright? Rap's right. We won't do no good just sitting around here. Alright then, let's go. There's a huge amount of plot in this village. Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting. I have to find this motherfucker's horn, don't I? You know where his horn is? Compared to most? Yeah, there's a lot of exposition here, but I don't mind it. Lower village. And get his horn back. Lower village is just outside the village. Let's go. Okay. Lower village used to be Lane. Sure, it was a right good place, but years ago something real bad happened and we had to pull out. So we all moved up to the village we live in now. Now that I think of it, it must have been Gaia that caused it all. So our village might have been in the same situation then. Where's the lower village anyhow? Anyway. If you stick your dick in a fish, do you think your dick will go end to end? I guess I suppose, or that depends on the fish. And your size. Other question, if you stick your dick in a fish, would it be slimy? I like to think so. Tower of Doom and this point of the game are the big turning points. Yeah, honestly, the last time I was streaming this and I saw Lean's wings, I was like, oh yeah! Like, I forgot. That actually felt like a nice twist. Like, it's been that long since I played it. It's just southeast of the village gate. Just go out the gate and you'll find it. Okay. Bet. This way? No, it's this way. At least not Parm. Parm is like genuinely hard to navigate. I fucking hate that town. Oh, Parm gets blown up. There it is. Parm might be the biggest town. Abandoned Lane Village. Nice! What the fuck is this? Was this ever a village? Sure was, Justin Boy. Sure was, Yugi Boy! As big as the one we live in now. Come to think of it, it was a lot prettier too. This is worse. This is worse than the Petrified Forest. Yeah, it looks like everything's covered in like Lisa Frank art. Darlin was here, Darlin says here space is warped and twisted. Monsters live here too. Let's do it, Milda. We have to do it. You're right, Justin Boy. But be careful now. Y'all hear? There's wormy-like critters around, and Dorland's house was farthest from the gate, so we got a long way to go. All right, cool. Oh, safe. Parmesan cheese, nice. Even bigger than Zilpadden. That was a fun little town. Oh! Wait, let me see how tough these guys are. Oh, nice. Yeah, I nailed him.
What a cinch.
Dope. Ooh, actually, what was this thing? Whoa. Oh! I didn't realize that. What is that? Okay. Oh, cool. I don't know what I thought. Die! Die! Oh, you dickhead. So what's everybody up to tonight? I know you boys working. Jay's probably playing something. Can's gooning. What is this? Warp Space 1? Wait, what? Probably gonna try a couple runs on Ninja Gaiden NES. Oh, nice! Just going from a from day 2 of a dance competition for my daughter. Oh, nice. How's she doing in the competition? And you played Ninja Gaiden before, right? Right, Jay? This isn't your first run, is it? It's pretty good. It's hard as shit. And I only played the first one. I saw a dude that played Al Pacino in the movie Tropic Thunder. Oh, Brandon T. Jackson? Does that sound right? The black dude do stand up, and he was talking about how Robert Downey Jr. never dropped character the whole time until the movie was done filming. Like, he would show up late and say, you know how we're always late. Never beat it, got to the last boss. Nice. Yeah, I actually saw that same clip. Yeah, boy. He was like, what do you mean, we, or something? Like, he does the... What does he say? He's like, you think I was acting? No, that's how Robert Downey Jr. really was. Did you fucking touch me? You know what game kind of slaps? That Strider remake on PS4 and stuff. That's a good game. I guess it's like a sequel, reimagining, whatever it is, it's good. Alright, I'm gonna go in there even though I'm a little nervous. It's not gonna teleport me, is it? I don't feel like being teleported. Damn it, I'm too stupid for this. Oh, maybe not. It just put me on the other side of this. I played a bunch of Strider or Shinobi. I want to go through both those franchises. I played a couple of the Shinobis on Genesis. They're pretty good. And I played the PS2 one. That game is kind of fucked up. Like, it does this thing where I think your health constantly starts draining once you get like this magic sword. So you have to play super aggressively, and it's already hard, you know. So there's like a lot of pressure, but you feel like a badass playing it. And then there was that spin-off sequel called Nightshade. That was pretty fun too. I think I have both on PS2. Like the actual complete inbox.
What a cinch.
What are you? Are you gonna kill me? Bitch! Ah. Ambush? Okay, good. Attack, attack, prickle. Okay, you're doing special attacks. You get it first. Motherfucker! Keith David. Welcome to hell, motherfucker! I should get that as a redeem. Honestly, I gotta refresh my redeems. Ah. Okay. Ooh. No, I don't wanna teleport yet. Let me see what's over here. Fuck you, ghost. Piss off, ghost. Wait, did I take me to the beginning? Oh, what the fuck? Huh. Alright, maybe I do want to go on that one. I feel like I'm missing items. Yeah, alright, let's go here. Oh, that's right. Oh, nice. Nice. Thanks, your boy.
Ta-da!
I like Melda. Move break. Aye. Now it's over here. Hold on, let me do some more exploring. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The fuck is... There's gonna be enemies in here, I know it. Fuck. Move the fuck out! Oh. Ah, they teleport. Ambushed. Don't do anything crazy. Or I'll be mad. Zap, riddle. No, nah. Fuck. I thought I had. No! Don't cancel it. Don't cancel. Fuck is
Blaze
that?
brightly, O flame!
What have you done to me? Riddle me this, Batman. I know, right? Sawudo? Aw, dang. I'm glad you guys like that one. Dude, Milda's just melting every enemy. Piss off, ghost. Alright, what's over here? Hell yeah. How's work going, dude? Or you're not gonna tell me until I get a security job. Also, what are you gonna stream next? Well, what's after Predator?
Elmo's gonna get
Nice. Use salmon. Prime rib? Ooh, shit. No, that'd be a waste. Let's use all heal. Ooh. There we go. Perfect. Ooh. What do you get? What do you get? What do you get? What do you get? Oh, warp staff. Who couldn't equip that? I don't think I've ever used a fucking staff in here yet. Oh, you do? Warps in combat? I mean, no. It's good. It's good. It's just, it's not better than what I have right now, I don't think. I thought I saw an item. Let's go back. Alright, hold on. Okay. I don't know why I thought just going through that would do it. Because now that I know what these do and where they're going, I want to check over here. Okay. Alright, alright. Yeah, I already did that. Okay. Go back. It's going alright. Predator's a continuing thing. Oh yeah, you did start Injustice 2 story, so I might go back to Bulletstorm. Oh, I didn't know you started Bulletstorm. Solid choice. I quite like Bulletstorm. I think I saw there's a VR version now. That sounds crazy. Oh wait. This way. Hold on. My phone's blowing up. I'm actually gonna mute this chat. Wait, what? Sorry, 1 second. I'm sorry. Alright. Sick.
Wearing another man's skin.
Yes.
Feeling his innermost wants and
My favorite
desires.
character.
And being in control of his every single move. That's how you get off.
Don't you guys want to get off with me?
Get off with me? I don't know.
What?
I want you to get off with me. Okay. Just follow my lead, guys.
We're gonna get off.
Together.
Ooh. Yeah, Injustice is fun. I kind of would like it in Injustice 3 instead of yet another Mortal Kombat. Gotta mix it up a little, you know? Wearing their man's skin. Dude, jeez. When it says, I assumed like it had a small chance of causing sudden death. I didn't think every fucking attack would just kill them. Is this the win button here? I feel like these axes are kind of OP. I kind of want to say just fuck everybody else's skills and focus on this. Holy shit. Prime rib? Hell yeah. No! Be gone! Piss off, ghost! Okay, fuck you! Okay. I don't want to get ambushed again. Nice. Benatos. Alright, these fuckers are dead.
No problem. Woo!
Those are kind of quiet, aren't they? Let me turn them up. I feel like my redeems are a little quiet, sorry. Let's compare to everything else. I feel like that they're still alive. Yeah, I knew it. Nice. Dude, I'm like, did you see Bing Chilling 2? I have not seen Bing Chilling 2. I didn't realize it got a sequel. Oh, actually, no, I think I heard about it. Is it about Bing Chilling or is it just him speaking fucking... Was it like... Was it Cantonese? Was he speaking? Hebrew? Ah! Bing Chilling. A hair band of kosher tea. Oh, he missed. That's cool.
Not bad, eh?
Tight. Where the fuck am I? I wish I could move around. Is that wiggling thing over there important? Okay, I guess not. Okay. It looks different from further away. Oh, I guess they speed up and slow down. That's why. Alright, this is a fucking maze. Ogre helm? Oh, I didn't like it because of how it reduces the move. Honestly, she's already a powerhouse. I only need to worry about her defense. Yeah, I don't like the minus move debuff. Huh? Like the subjects. Okay. Okay. Wait, okay. Auto. No? I have to use it? Okay. Oh, damn. Sorry, guys.
Off of the platform. You've also heard concerns about bias at Facebook, particularly bias against conservatives. And I just was as a final question.
Actually, I should get more. You're back. Actually, I'm gonna pee too. Actually, no.
That looks cool. Me awkwardly till the comedy comes in. No, I'll probably have my penis on my hand. Thanks for very awkward though. Fuck, was not on your side tonight? No, it was not. Neither was skill. I fucking suck today. Who's live? We got Lil B Montana playing Silent Hill 2. We got Love and Love's playing Pummel Party. You got Pig Madison playing Quiet Pace. We got Super Sleepy playing GTA 3. Heyo. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? You rocking it. Check the DMs. Sending me. Oh god, you're wearing a hoodie. It's my lucky hoodie. Overnight. That looks cool. Wanna watch it with me awkwardly till the comedy comes in? No, I'll probably have my penis on my hand. Thanks for very awkward though. Fuck, was not on your side tonight? No, it was not. Neither was skill. I fucking suck today. Who's live? We got Lil B Montana playing Silent Hill 2. We got Love and Love's playing Pummel Party.
Pee in my mouth? Damn it, dude. I'm sorry. I missed that. I would've. Sorry.
We got Super Sleepy playing GTA 3.
Ah! What the fuck? No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Oh. These battles are going super fast now.
Not bad, eh?
Austin? Damn, Jimmy! Some serious gourmet shit. I wasn't aiming for you, but fine.
Not bad, eh?
Move break. What does this one do again? Use blocks to move. Oh, actually, I'll discard this. Do you have any like any of the nuts or seeds I can eat? Those are always fun to make room. And nobody's using magic. I should actually stop not using magic. At least with Fina. She's like damn near my dedicated mage. Ah, fuck. Oh shit. It's like Calvin from Life. Have you guys seen that movie? Not the Eddie Murphy one, but like that sci-fi one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. That's a pretty fun sci-fi horror. Whoa, 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 whoa! Oh, with the red doohickey. I'm back here. Fuck you. Was it this way? No. Damn it, don't teleport me! Oh, yeah, I gotta find a way to get up there. It's probably over here. Here. But I also didn't check down here. I have a feeling like that up there is where to go. Oh, shit. Your initiative. Wait, was he in the way and that's why he took damage? I didn't want that to happen, but kind of cool. Oh wait. Oh, whatever. Oh, he's defending. Jump him! Get him!
Not bad, eh?
I've been growing my hair out for a new skit I'm going to be filming. When I cut it for the video, I'm going to make a mullet. Dude, that's awesome. Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's awesome. Shit. Blue potion. Oh, nice. Bruh. Alright, get rid of these move breaks. I should have sold those, because I think... Ooh, mana egg! Where are you taking me? Oh. Oh, that's funny. Okay. And this... God damn it! It's Extreme Cheapskates parody video of that show, Extreme Cheapskates. I'm going to try to save money on haircuts. I just cut my own hair. I can't see the back myself, so I just cut the sides. I'm sure the mullet will come back in style. Was it ever in style? No, that sounds pretty funny though, dude. I just farted. I hope you didn't hear that. Because I forgot I have like one of these like fancy like mesh like office chairs, and it muffles nothing. I'm going to commit to the bit. No, dude, I'm pretty stoked. You gotta send it to me when it's up. I already follow you, so I should see it, but I want to see
Now
it.
you'll be okay.
You sure they will? Man, kids are wearing mullets everywhere right now. Are they really? Are mullets already back? Damn. The only time I ever saw a mullet, and I was like, oh, that's pretty badass, was like pretty much any movie with Kurt Russell and Solid Snake.
Hi-ya! Hi-ya!
Mullets have been back for years. I have no idea. It's for a parody video for a character I'm gonna play. Yeah, that sounds fun. I used to joke if I ever cut my hair, I'm some crazy shit. Like they're like, oh, you should get a mohawk. I was like, no, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna get like that clown hair. I'm gonna be like bald up here, and then I have like all the crazy hair on the sides.
I take responsibility.
Oh, I haven't seen this one in a while.
I take responsibility for racism.
To counteract the mullet, I'm gonna wear a bandana as a headband. Oh, nice. Then you really will be basically Solid Snake. What? What? Dead Wolf? My boy! My boy! Do your hair like Marlon Wayans in Scary Movie? Nice. Same thing. I'll have to look that up. Which one? Scary Movie 1 or 2? You're talking about Shorty, right? What up, Dead Wolf? Oh, I was just about to give you a shout out. Who did that? Thank you, whoever did that. Thanks, Cyber.
Shit!
How was your raid, man? Thank you so much.
Oh my god,
How
why
was your
did
stream?
lock me
Thank
in
you for the
that?
raid.
Oh no! That is fucking
I
scary.
got a peeking. Hang on. Let me turn that down a little bit.
Holy shit, that's fucking scary.
And which Monster Hunter is that? Is that the new one? Scary Movie 1? Here, let me look it up. Shorty Scary Movie 1. Oh, just the fro? I've had my hair like that, kinda. Just not as, like, shaped, you know? I think Scary Movie 2 would be better. Which, I mean, I'm borderline there. I just gotta, like, split it like this and puff it, like, pick it out a little bit. That was Rise on Switch. Nice. It's the shape. Yeah. I like his hair in 2. Those sideburns, though. I gotta get that. You should dress up like Homie the Clown. That would be funny. Homie the Clown. He's bald, isn't he? Let me see. Oh, no, he's got that wig. I'll do that with my actual hair, though. Oh, yeah. Fuck. Hold on. Where am I? I'm getting confused. Whoa. What? What? What the fuck? Where the fuck am I? Am I back here again? Dog, stop teleporting me! Dress up as Uncle Ray Ray? Yeah, let's do that. Hey, what up, Brixie? Yeah, what up, guys? Thank you for a raid. Yeah, Brixie gets a shout out too.
I can feel your judgment from the other side.
Yeah, Homie the Clown would be funny. But yeah, welcome in, Raiders. Hi, everybody. My name is Shattered Limit. Oh god. I am a variety streamer who plays a lot of Resident Evil. Right now I'm playing Grandia. Welcome in, fam. Joey looks like Show Enough. Also,
Joey looks like Sure Enough.
Marlon Wayans. That's funny. Hold on, let me see. Show Enough. Oh, I kind of wish my hair was that. Oh, it's not Marlon Wayans. That's funny. I wish my hair was long enough to do that, though. I guess I kind of could. I could fake it, right? Because you got like a man bun on top of like the chaos. That's funny. All right, where the fuck am I again? then the stairs. All right, I think I know where to go. But yeah, thank you so much for the raid, Dead Wolf. Have you guys ever played Grandia? Or Grandia, but I like saying Grandia. Yeah. So it's this one. Thanks for the shouty. I never played it. You like RPGs, right? Like, oh yeah, didn't you say you were going to possibly bring back your, oh fuck. Legends of Dragoon stream? But these are cute. I recommend 2, just for being a good game. Oh my god. I have to, what do I do? What am I doing? Oh. What? I just saw Warp Space 3. Where was it? Legends of Dragooner? Nice. I don't know, lol. I love the game, but putting 200 plus hours in off stream, so I think I'm done for a bit. Wait, the game's that long? No, but running around and such? Oh, okay, okay. Dang. That's a lot. That sounds excessively long. 200 plus hours in off stream, so I think I'm done. You like grinding? Like a PS1? Oh shit. For a PS1 game, that sounds crazy. Wait, did I just get sent back? Oh my god, what'd that tongue do? That's like pornographic. What is this? Die! Get him, Milda. Get him. Oh shit. A clink? Is that like the key? Is it the keychain Pokemon? Got to watch my stream. Sorry, there was ads. No worries. But yeah, this game I recommend because it's cute. 2 I recommend because it's good. I think we gotta dive into Monster Hunter Stories games. Oh, I've actually always wanted to play those. Like I played a little bit of 1 back on 3DS. But it was a game I was like renting when I was working at GameStop, and I just never finished it. No, that's for me. Ah, fist bump. I know why. Thanks, brother. Bundle is cheap on Steam right now. How cheap? We've been playing the demo for 3. Wait, there's a 3? There's a 3 coming out? Did you guys hear about Dot Hack 0? I just found out yesterday. Really good price. Sick. Coming out soon? I didn't know. 25 bucks for 1 and 2 deluxe? Oh, that is a good deal. Yeah, motherfucker!
What a cinch.
Next month, I think. Oh, right on. Are you guys gonna stream it? Fuck. You need this? Not really. We're all freaking TikTok. Yeah, I will. Hell yeah. Are you starting with 1 or are you gonna stream 3? Ah. With Chino. Fuck. I don't need all this salmon. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Because I'm steamrolling these enemies right now, so it's like... You know? It's like I'm taking damage to heal. I'm just hoarding all my inventory stuff. Probs start with 1, but the third isn't story connected? Oh, it's not? It's like a completely disconnected thing? I'm sure he will stream them as well. Hell yeah. Thank you for answering. Dude, your streams have been blowing up. I see your guys' view counts. Good shit. There we go. Hurt me, Snake. Make me feel alive. Oh, I got them backwards. Nice.
All right, we won.
I keep that shit turned off. Makes me too anxious, but it's been getting better for sure. Oh, I totally understand. Sorry if I'm not supposed to talk about it or something, but I saw you guys' number last time. I was like, no. Good shit. I'm getting them on Steam also. Nice, nice. And are you gonna stream them as well, good sir? The fuck am I? Okay. Alright. Hug the walls. Sick. Yeah. Shui. I'm going to discard, oh, I should have fucking stashed the bandana. I'll get rid of the vaccine. I don't need these vaccines. Let me compare inventory. No, I see it like after stream, but during it makes me nauseous, anxious, so I can't. No, that I totally understand. Like me, if I have anywhere from like 4 to like 10 people, I'm like, that's one thing. But if I see like 157, that would freak me out. I'm like, it would change my context. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I would be stuck in entertainer mode rather than just being me, chit-chatting. I would do the same. Damn it, why is everything fucking lowering my goddamn movement? He's got high movement anyway. Yours are off the charts. So you're fine. Yeah, I spiraled a bit because of it, but working on that. Well, regardless, I think you're doing great, so congratulations. You too, Deadwolf. Please don't count that as an ambush. If I saw 157 people on my stream, I take a dab in front of everybody and say it's time to play Sword and Sandals too. Nice. Would you say that's one of your favorite games? Dude, dabs are too much for me. Like, I think just like a little hit off the Benjamin and I'm good for like hours. No, not my favorite game, but I do enjoy it. Yeah, you do. But I'm glad you like it. It's one of those games where I'm like, it's not for me, but to each their own, you know? I put spec on it. I'm really excited for that new dot hack. It's one with Sword and Sandals. Yeah, dot hack 0. That made me like absolutely excited. Like I had no idea they were bringing the franchise back.
No problem. Woo!
Oh, so you played it? I'm guessing that's how you were able to describe it. However, I am tired and would like to go lay down, so I will catch you later. Enjoy the stream. Thank you, Brixie. I hope you have a great night. Hey, Deadwolf, if you're here, I don't know if you're going to bed too or hanging out, but thank you for the raid. I appreciate you. I just wanted to get that again out of the way before, well, while I have time. I'm here, broski. High five. What up? You just kicking it? What do you got going on tonight? Advantage. That's a nice little emoji. I like that one. Alright, I'm gonna start using magic so I can at least have an excuse to use my MP heals and stuff, so I don't have to
Blaze, break no flame.
out of inventory space. Inventory space in RPGs. Fuck off, you know? 2 doesn't make me do that. Watching some anime, and you? What are you watching? Which anime? I too would like to watch anime. I just don't give myself enough time. And whenever I do have free time, it's like I gotta just play a game or something, you know? Oh, what does Miracle do again? Yeah, sure. There was something here. Defense fruit! Alright, who needs it? Probably Fina. Dude, these tongues. Oh, shit. I hate the invisible ones. I'ma get you. I'ma get you. Kill them all! Wait, Jay, are you still there? Did you ever find your answer in Final Fantasy on the Pixel Remasters? Was it like... Because I know the issue with the earlier versions of that game, it's like, if you attack, like let's say everybody's targeting one enemy, and then the enemy dies, everybody just misses now because they're still trying to target the empty spot? Or did it be smart and let you, like, they'll auto-target somebody else if that target's no longer there? Because I actually think it's the former. Iron Clog. Get rid of another Panaka or something. Or, honey. Ooh, shit. Move break. Bye. Alright, and then... Why is everything... Everything's slowing me down. Minus 20 is insane. Hello. Yeah, Jay, how did the Pixel Remaster Final Fantasy work? Like, if an enemy dies, do the characters target the other one, or do they attack that empty space? You know what I mean? That's stupid shit. Oh, I don't think I can squeeze through that. They still attack? So they attack the same spot? Is that the one where they're all pixels? Yeah, it is. Or do they attack like the next enemy in line?
No problem.
Because I can interpret your answer both ways. So I'm stupid. It's the one where they attack. They attack next? Okay, good. Because I think everything after, like, the Wonder Swan version does it, but I think the PSP and then, of course, the NES version, just like they just miss. Oh yeah, you're playing Ninja Gaiden, aren't you? How's that going? Where's this fucking item? Oh, yeah. Discard item. Get out of here! Whoa! What a mansion! Boss fight, probably. Ugh. I'm actually in bed now. My emulator was detecting my gamepad and I didn't want to troubleshoot. Oh, that sucks. Alright. Oh, do you have other parts? Like, I think he does. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he does. Alright.
Here goes!
Okay. So they're still doing that bullshit. Oh damn, these are actually a lot of HP. Okay, so you're the one. Okay. Ooh, no! We're Mr. Bill right now. Oh, we're all poisoned. You fuck. Damn.
I'm gonna knock y'all down at once! Ha! Hurrah! Ha! Slice you in two!
Yeah, mask. Oh, actually, I think I like that one. That's like the buggy one, right? All right, time to use those items. Oh boy. Here we go. Let's start with that. 50's not a lot. Holy shit. Okay, Fina, you're like exclusively on healing duty right now.
Now you'll be okay.
Live, child! If I attack this, it'll just attack everything on the way through. Or if I just, yeah, I'll just do everything.
There's no use in hiding.
Slice the car! Here you go!
It didn't do much, but I'm actually curious on how much this one does.
You're not gonna get away from this. Ha!
Fuck off! Ah, bad, not bad. Ah, you missed. Yeah, it's magic.
Now you'll be okay.
Fuck off! Fuck you, monster! Exactly. Die! Why is he punching the air over there? Not the smartest enemy.
Now you'll be
I mean,
okay.
I'm not complaining. I'd rather him punch the air over there than my poisoned characters. There we go. Hurt me, Snake. Any more? Milda kick. Milda kick!
Here it goes!
Alright, he's actually done kind of substantial damage. I'm impressed.
You're not gonna get away from this. Ha!
No, that's a waste. Just use your magic. Let's do burn flare.
Blaze brightly, oh flame!
Are you playing anything off stream, Deadwolf? Alright, we're just punching now. Yeah! Yeah, we still got it.
You're not gonna get away from this. Ha!
No! You bitch. How much you healing? Oh, 300. That's not so bad. Ah! Alright, let's anticipate this and use a wall heal.
Now you'll be okay.
Oh, this is so bad. I ain't worried about
You're not gonna
nothing.
get away from this.
I ain't worried about nothing.
Ha!
Milda, kick!
Here it goes!
Got your ass.
Big win! Big win!
Yas! Nice. Alright, what'd I get? We totally whipped that dude. Now all we need to do is get Master Dolan's horn. I forgot that's why we were here. Where's that horn at? Where that horn at? Horn of knowledge? Yep, that's it. Ain't no mistake. Bet. Can you teleport me out of here? Or do I have to fucking... I have to make that old geezer talk some sense for once. Alright, back to lane. You bitch! You fucking bitch! I want to backtrack. I like it when they like... There's an earthquake and the game just fucking makes you run out before it caves in, you know? Those are the best. Let me just check and make sure there's no like teleport thing. I mean, it still actually might bypass it. If I leave this room, it could, you know, just like fade to black and it's us leaving. Please, please. This map sucks. This way. Yeah. Motherfucker. You know what? Fuck it. I'm looking at a map. I don't give a fuck. There we go. Shit, where'd the window go? it is. Damn, don't scare me like that. Tight. Alright, so if that's north. Let's teleport me out of here. Oh shit. Ah! Wait, I'm in 3. Was a save. Oh, where am I? Okay. And yeah, down here. Oh. Oh, it's not even that complicated. This way? No, it's this way. Actually, I might be good. Then I think this teleports me to the fucking start, actually. This way. There's the stairs. Yo. Okay. Okay, and then or space 1. This way. This way. That'll be a shortcut. Nice. I don't hate these teleporters anymore. And just hug right and get the fuck out. Right? No, I think it's over here. I don't remember. Yeah. I think it's where I go to get the fuck out. Yup. Back to lane, get this idiot back his horn. Hey, he was like southwest. This way. Or no, that was the other guy. I'll find him. He was like in a little tower. I think it is this way. Yeah. Dorlan the Wise, who's the dumbest of them all. I bet you it's one of those things where it's like, once he gets the horn, he starts talking in like a British accent. Oh, you are you. That's who. I remember you. I do. I couldn't forget it if I tried to remember. Talk about Looney. Hold on, Pops. Just wait a bit and we'll have you back to normal. Okay, Milda, this is all we need to get the information from him, right? Of course. Here. All we need to do is put them on here. Put them here on these bumps, and there we go. And also he's wearing glasses in the portrait. Resurrection! Hey, Pops, you are really all right? Master Dorlan, I have so many questions. Look at this. The key to the portal of the Angelo spoken of in the words of your one step closer to Mistress Liate. That was true. This is the key to Lent. No, not to the Shrine of Lent. It is for a place you'll know well, the Shrine of Zilpadin. What? Zilpadin, the shrine? Yes, according to the words of Yor, Alent was the Shrine of Knowledge and Zilpadin was the Shrine of Wisdom. Both floating shrines and both possessing the key to the other entrusted and those who were worthy. The 3 eyes on the shrine door in the middle of Zilpadin judged the worth of the entrant. The Moge, the oldest people on the ground, are said to possess metal of knowledge. This is also the key to Lent. Moge? Guido? Guy with the ears? Rabbit ears? The Moge... The Moge or Mogai? I'm gonna say Moge. It's like that commercial. More spam! It's like Moge. Are the most ancient people said to have descended with the Shrine of Zilpadin in the Age of the Angelo. The Moge control the Shrine of Zilpadin and will open the door only if you prove worthy enough. Did you see the Kid Rock and RFK workout video that just came out? I heard about it and I saw a clip. They both look like they have hot dog skin. It's weird. I don't know if it's alcoholism or dehydration, but Jesus Christ. Rub some aloe on or something. Go to the Elent. Go first to Zilpadin to obtain the Medal of Knowledge, the key to Elent. Throw it into the Rainbow Spring and the long closed door to Elent will open once again. When you reach the legendary floating shrine, meet Mistress Liete. Burn her image into your mind from me. Then I will finally have obtained the image of Mistress Liete with my own hands. Your own hands? This guy's dangerous. Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. Bah, what the bah? Well, ain't that grand, Justin boy. Y'all got one step closer to Elent. That's right, thanks to you and everyone else, Milda. Thanks, Batch. Justin boy, afraid this is goodbye. No! No! You are the shit. Fuck. You're the powerhouse of my fucking army here. No. What? But why? I know I'm real beholden to y'all, but I just can't leave my darling. Fuck your darling, dude. Poor old darling didn't eat a thing while I was away. Now he's skinny as a board. Wait a minute, you call that skinny? Nice. I see. Well, that's too damn bad. I guess it can't be helped. Milda, thanks for everything. Give our best to darling too. Justin boy, y'all might be having a hard time and feeling like giving up, but don't, okay? Don't y'all dare give up now. Bina girl, rat boy, you keep going. Now, you hear? Milda, you're all right. Milda, give her best to darling. I'll be here in the village, so y'all don't be strangers. Take care, y'all. You're leaving me just like everybody else does.
No, no,
Exactly,
no, 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 no. Wait. Wait.
Look at this fucking statue. Let's see. No one said the temple entrance is in the middle of Zilpadin. But there's no temple in the middle of town. That's a fountain there. I get it. The fountain is the entrance. Light bulb. If you had to choose a nightmare, blunt rotation of people you haven't chosen before, who would it be? Sydney Sweeney, Lucy Liu, Mama Conk, Mia Khalifa, and I don't know, probably like Selma Hayek. Whoa, for you, that's pretty good thinking, Just. I wonder if you hit it. I'm so immature. Let's check it out right away. What kind of nightmare of blunt rotation is that? I mean, I don't know. Do they have? You didn't give me any guidelines. Do they have to be bad? Sounds like a good ass nightmare to me. I'm a lucid dreamer, so I can create my own. Hey, Just, those Lanians talked about the temple door. Is that it? It certainly has 3 eyes. What's yours? Does it have to be like Chucky, Jason, or something? The whole thing about nightmare blunt rotation is something that would be horrible. Oh no, not sharing a blunt with Jessica Alba. Fuck. No, I don't want that. Who would you pick? What's your answer? It only has 3 eyes. If we fit the metal in there, will it work? Good. She has herpes. All right, that's the nightmare. I'll risk it. I'll risk it for her biscuit. Wait a minute, Justin. If we open the door now, the water will flow in. If so, there's only 3 of us to drink it. If Justin and I do half each, that's not right. Look, Darlin didn't say that. We need to cooperate with the Moge. That's right. He said if we are not recognized by the Moge, the door won't be open. But the only Moge we know is Guido. Yeah, oh, there. Damn, dude. Speak of the devil. And you shot up here? Oh. How polite of rap. I know, right? He's just offering. He's like, if I could drink half and then Justin could take the other half. Like, he's got a game plan. That's Charlie Theron for me. Oh, yeah. I forgot. We were just talking about her. I love her. Can I include Fina in the drink job? I'll get AIDS for her. Charlie Theron's a solid choice. And, like, I kind of forgot, like, because we were talking about her, and I was like, that's right. She is a fucking baddie. Just like the elder said, a very cute, a red-haired one. Well, my grandmother said she had a bit of that, but he's got bushy red hair. How did you know that? I have the Spirit Stone. That's Teehee. Excuse me. I've been thinking, or talking silly again. It's a bad habit. I'm a Gina, the elder. He said that he's been looking for you. He's been looking for you. The Moga Elder has? Justin, perhaps? Mine would be Dr. Phil, Isaac Newton, Al Gore, and the guy who sung the song Scatman. I think his name is Scatman, isn't it? Right? Am I tripping? That doesn't really sound like a nightmare to me, either. I mean, neither does the, my rotation, but, I'm in control of this. That's who I pick. From a nightmare to a wet dream. Say, Gina, would you take us to meet the Moga Elder? Would you please? Of course, that's what the Elder, he intended when he sent to me. Mine would be oh. I saw like something flicker over here, so I thought it was a new text. The Elder's house is a cellar where the Moga live. When you meet the Elder, he will surely be surprised. Ooh. Where is it? Wait. Yeah, fuck Isaac Newton. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to lift anything. Fuck him for inventing gravity. Yeah, what was life like before he invented gravity? That's what I gotta know.
Skabadabadabadu. Beleted Belida Blada Blada Blabba Bellabob 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 Blab Belladu Belidu I am the Scadman Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub. Yoda Dub Dub Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub. I'm the Scadman. Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub. Bada bada bobby, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada 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 bobby, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada bopi, bop bop bada bopi, ska bada bada badu. Believe belida blada blada blab bella bob bella bob bella bob blab bella do believe everybody stutters one way or the other, so check out my message to you as a matter of fact. I don't let nothing hold you back if the Scadman can do it, so can you.
Thank you.
Skabadabadabadu. Beleted Belida Blada Blada Blabba Bellabob 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 Blab Belladu Belidu I am the Scadman Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub. Yoda Dub Dub Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub. I'm the Scadman. Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub Ski by Dibby Dib. Yoda Dub Dub Yoda Dub Dub.
It's so long. Nice. Where's the cellar? It's not the cellar of the hotel, is it? Or the Elder house? Would it be in here? So I have no idea where the fuck to go. Now imagine being really high and kind of paranoid and you hear Scatman Jones go. I like how he starts that song. I'm a Scatman! Thank you for that, guys. Where's the Elder's house? Hold on. Oh shit. It scared me a little bit. Oh. What? It's actually nearby. I want to learn the lyrics to that song.
No, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait. Wait.
No, man, I don't trust him. That guy takes naps. Alright, so there's... Okay, general store. I know where I'm at. Because I looked it up. And it is in here somewhere. Somehow these are houses I can enter. I didn't even realize that. This is Moga House 2. And then one is over here. The elder. Wait a minute. Who are you? Here's a nap. I don't trust a man that hates on napping. Dude, I fucking love napping. You think Scatman drives a scat pack? I don't even know what a scat pack is. People in Germany must really love Scatman. Nice. Can we come up with our own meme word? Like skibbity? Let's add a toilet at the end of that. But yeah, dog. Dude, naps? I'd be dead if it wasn't for naps. I'm convinced. Oh, it's been a long time. Brave couple, you came to see me just like you promised. This is a humble house to meet up people invited to Angelo. Well, please stay a while. Guido, you really did know everything. Did you foresee about Lane 2? The merchant lives by information and 3 wise men of Lane. That was very heavy. Thanks to a monster called Gaia, the people in the forest were turned to stone. If Newton didn't invent gravity, I'd be able to jump to the moon. Nakedy toilet? Dude! It's shimmy! Nice. Just you just have to check your accuracy, because if you miss, you just go somewhere in the vacuum of space. You're caught in like Jupiter's gravity or something. I already did that. If you go on Urban Dictionary and look up slime, you'll see that I wrote it on there. Really? Nice. The only way to return those people to normal is to go to a Lent. Which reminds me, there's no time for small talk. Please, Guido, help us. Well, take us to meet the Moga Elder. They told us in Lane that the key to Lent is in the underground temple of Lil Padden. In order to open the door of the temple, you must be approved by the Moge. I really want to go to Lent. I understand, Justin. However, one thing before that, I want you to answer my question. Why do you want to go to a Lent? Want to meet Ella, to solve the mysteries of the Angelo, to protect the world. To protect the world we live in! That's gotta be the obvious choice, right? What is it? When I started traveling, I just wanted to try going, that was it. But now it's different. I want to go to Lent and protect this world. Protect the world? You're right, neither a spirit nor an Icarian. How could you do that? Slimed, listen to pronunciation, share definition. The act of claiming credit for someone else's work on a song or other activities. No, really, boy, he didn't lie. Nice. I wasn't kidding. The act of claiming credit for someone else's work on a song or other activities. Why slime? It just felt right. Congratulations, Justin. The Mogi Elder approves of you. You are the proper person to go to a Lent, huh? The Elder. Wait, could it be that Guido is the Elder? I feel like I'm just saying a slur constantly. I should add Snallygaster. What is that? I like you, Justin. You are always looking ahead, way ahead of everyone else. And let's go to the underground temple of Zil Padden to look for the key to a Lent. Guido. Ah! I'm feeling it. We enter the temple with this. The barrier water has been removed. Aw, thanks, Guido. Great, I can see a Lent. Well, to the underground temple, everyone. Tight, tight, tight. I should add these nuts to that chin. Nice. I actually didn't see that coming. That's when you're going down on your girl and she farts and you inhale it and shout it back at her. A snallygaster. Nice. It's because there's a person named Slimer on this Twitch stream that I submit my music reviews on, and he submitted a song that someone else made, and I was like, he slimed that person and took a song. Nice, nice, nice. So it's based on the person named Slime. That's fair. Good, shame him.
Every time Joey yawns, a ghost puts his dick in his mouth.
The water has disappeared. There's a board with 3 holes in it. If you fit the metal in the middle, the door to the underground temple will open. We have no idea what lies ahead either. We've been I try to not fucking yawn anymore, but it's like that thing where I think, you know, like when you see someone yawn, you yawn. I think if I look over and I read yawn, it has the same effect. Shame this man, boo this person.
Shame this man, boo this person.
Oh, nice. I didn't know you text to speech to that one. We have no idea what lies ahead either. We've been too cautious to go in. Well then, we had better prepare ourselves. Let me go save. Just to be safe. Where's the fucking hotel? There's like kids in front of it or something? Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Boo this man! I just think of, oh, what is that? Is that, Half-Baked? Oh, actually, I should, stash some shit, too. Yeah, nice. I suck dick for coke. You ever suck dick for weed? Can't say I have. Boo this man! Alright, get rid of this fucking bandana. I don't need all them trusts. Trust! Yes, that's what I was quoting. No, Did he say shameless man? Well, you misquoted. I suck dick just to suck dick. Nice. Man, I got these cheeseburgers. I suck your dick. He's like, oh, get the fuck away from me. Sad to see what's happened to my beautiful black people. That movie's amazing. Oh yeah, while I'm here, might as well use that egg too. What you say, nigga? Oh, one of them that I like also in Half-Baked is the, hey old girl, you hungry? And then the black lady is like, fuck you, nigga. She like squeaks when she says it too. It's great. Message! Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, what you want to do is down Crenshaw. Is how down Crenshaw. Did you watch Half-Baked 2? There's Half-Baked 2? There's a sequel? No. Are you talking about How High 2? Are you thinking about How High 2? Magic. Man, I miss ugly Americans. Alright, yes. Half-Baked 2. What the fuck is this shit? No, dude, I never heard of this. I'm kind of mad that it exists. Got 4.6 out of 10. Dude, I didn't know it got a sequel. That's awful. 2022. Half-Baked, Totally High is what it's called. Ugh. How you gonna have a Half-Baked without fucking Chappelle? No, there's Half-Baked too. Yeah, dude, I didn't know that. Sounds like a bad idea. Fuck that movie. Because I know there's a How I 2, and there's an Undercover Brother 2, and they both suck. There was almost nobody from the original movie. I looked it up. There's a couple cameos. That's about it. Yeah, dude, that would annoy me. I don't want to watch it. Did you see it? Oh, wait, no. I just wanted to save real quick before I go back in there. Stop it! Use a D-pad. There we go. They missed their chance to call it Half-Baked 2 Fully Baked, right? Half-Baked. That's funny. Yes, I watched it. And what did you think? Now would probably be the best time to do the Castle of Dreams. Where is it? I kind of just want to do this part, but maybe I can do it after. We have no idea what lies ahead either. We've been too cautious to go in. Well then, we had better prepare ourselves. No, let's do it. That's right, no one knows what will happen. Oh, oops, I fucked up. The gear just becomes a little less relevant. Oh, I see what you mean. Like, pacing-wise, if I do go now. Otherwise, if I go back later, then I would have been outpaced by the other shit, right? Or be outdated. Outmoded, if you will. He had a really weird concept of how all the events of the movie start off. It had. In what way? Great, let's go! Here? Good. Oh god, it's moving! This is... What? This place smells like mold. There's still like 1 or 2 pieces that'll be good till the end of the game, but yeah, a lot of gear will be kind of meh after. I think I'll be okay. Like I said, I'm not speedrunning, but I am trying to just get through this as soon as possible. I really, really want to play Grandia too. Oh, you'll definitely be fine. Yeah, high five. I'm gonna pretend you did it. Once you've come this far, you can't go back, right, Justin? Of course, great. Let's go, everyone. I just got the idea of starting a movie review series where I review movies, but I never actually say how I like them. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude, that sounds fucking awful. Like... I mean, I guess in a way, I mean, the way you worded it, maybe you just are you talking about just being completely like objective, just stating what the movie is. But I think people go into a review so you can score it, you know, like know exactly what you think of it. That's the point of a review. Wow, this place is bigger than I thought. I never imagined such a great shrine that could float in the air. Like if I want to know what the movie's about, I'll just read the synopsis or something. We Moge have always lived together with the shrine, even before we came down from the sky. Same as Liete of Alent. Okay, Justin? Let's go. Eh? The key to Alent has got to be deep, deep inside. Andiamo. Some shit. Ah! Time is it? Oh no, Squeeder's with me. I just realized. Oh wait, no, let's not do all that. I'll just be like, this movie was 1 hour and 38 minutes, and it had some good parts, and it had some bad parts. I watched the whole thing, and the video ends. I mean, that'd be a funny bit, but if that's a series, is that the joke? How would you keep it fresh?
There's no use in hiding.
Yeah! I miss Milda. Milda, come back. And I miss Sue.
Not bad, eh?
Tight. That was a lot of gold. Oh, you know what? Oh, it's too late now. Oh yeah, let me get that experience. Is it Milda's fucking experience? Mace book. Yeah, Sue's mace experience. Dog, I've been ignoring all this. I mean, none of this is used maces right now, but I'm gonna get her sword experience. And her axe experience, because I use a lot of axes. Also, are you still working? You're off work now, right? Cut him. You... Wait, don't give. Use, silly goose. Not having much. I don't think she had a lot, but she had a lot of axe experience, I think. I would... Sorry. I would edge people to the point where they think I'm gonna give a score, but I actually don't give a score. Like, I would say this movie would be good if I wasn't so bored by it, but I think it's probably something that I would watch whenever I'm not doing anything. It's on in the background. That's why I did just that. Yeah, about to clock out? Nice. Well, actually, I might be, like, off stream. like ending it by the time you're home. So thanks for hanging out. But I think I think I'm gonna end it here. I might stream tomorrow. I'm still kind of in flux of what the fuck is going on for the next 2 days. But I would like to finish this soon. Honestly, I could finish this within the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna try next week. I might do a weekend stream. Like I said, I'll be at Cybers on Sunday for a few hours. Maybe Saturday? I need to check my fucking... Are you finally gonna join me in Predator game tomorrow? Oh, shit. That's right. What time? I don't want to play it. I could play maybe a couple of rounds or something. Like, I like Predator. I'm just not into those kinds of games for the most part, Those asymmetrical ones, but I'll try it. I'm off tomorrow? Okay. Well, I'm not. So I'll have to be after work for sure. And then I might go to the gym again. It'll probably be just like a cardio day, so it shouldn't be too long. Yeah, I could probably do it tomorrow night. It's actually a solid game. No, I know it's popular. I'll give it a shot. I can't judge it because I haven't played it yet. But I do know, like, those asymmetrical games, like, they're just not really my thing. But I told Zara I'll play Dead by Daylight with him, so I should play Predator with you. Be fair. And like, I owe it to you, Like, I think you're my most watched viewer. So fist bump. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna save here. Let me recover, and then I'll save. Make sure I actually fucking save this time. Yeah, I saved. And then let's find somebody to raid. You'll have more fun with this game than Dead by Daylight. Honestly, maybe, because the thing that I don't like about playing as survivors of Dead by Daylight is it's just a stealthy, like, I can't fight, It's just kicking generators with timed things, which is why I'm gonna try playing as the killer. I think I might enjoy playing as the killer. Or at least I could. With Predator, at least, I can shoot shit. I think you can kill the Predator. You can't kill the killer in Dead by Daylight, but I'm gonna try both of them. I'll install it tonight just to make sure I'm not caught off guard. Actually, I'll do it right now after stream. But like I said, I'm trying to work on my sleep schedule, and it kind of sucks to end stream and just go straight to bed. So I'm just gonna chillax and unwind. Maybe watch an anime or something. I don't know. Or Fallout. I'm behind on everything. We'll see. But yeah. Actually, let me put this to sleep. Don't judge my games. I feel you guys judging me. Stop it. Stop it. All right. We are going to raid. Wait, Zara's live? Oh no, he's not. Who we got? Breadtastic's playing more SpongeBob. Breadtastic's great. He's like one of my go-tos for raid. You guys have seen him before. He's just a nice New Zealand fella. Plays a lot of retro games. Later, dude. It's a cross-play, so you can play it on PS5 or the PC. I have it on PS5. I don't have it on PC. Good night, baby. Raid Breeze. Who? Oh, Breezeaholic. I guess I could do that. Yeah. All right. I'll do that. Peace out, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll give you all a personal hawk tua, okay? Raid. Oh, I have to do it over here, I think. Raid. How do you spell this shit? Breeze. Where is he? I lost him. Holic. Boom. All right, guys. Y'all take care now. I need 5 seconds. And then I need to grab all my viewers. All 9. 6, 7. Sorry. Bye.
New chicken bacon ranch street chalupas at Taco Bell. You can't get just one. And no, that's not some marketing hyperbole about how much you'll obsess over the slow roasted chicken, crisp bacon, and avocado ranch sauce. They come in twos. You literally can't order just one. The new chicken bacon ranch street chalupas at Taco Bell.
For whatever life throws at you, get covered.